Good evening, students. Welcome to Sankalp learning classes. So, ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಈ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ನಾವು ಈ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಇಕಾಲಜಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ನ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ವಿ ಲರ್ನ್ ಸಮ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್. So, what are the important topics we have studied from this chapter? The first thing is population attributes. So, population attributes. So, yes. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಈ ಒಂದು ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ನ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ವಿ ಲರ್ನ್ ಸಮ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ population attributes. So what are these population attributes? The first one is about the birth rate, and the second attribute, that is the death rate, birth rate and the death rate. Then the third attribute, that is sex ratio. So these all attributes that we can see in the population but not in the individual. So individual person has birth and death, but the population attributes, they have a birth rate and the death rate and the sex ratio. Then age pyramid. So the population which has the age pyramid. So age pyramids are three types. So stable and growing and declining. So three types of the age pyramids that we have seen in the last class. And about the population density, right? Population density. So these points we learned in the last class already. Then very important about the growth models. So two types of the growth models we have studied. The first one is the logistic growth model ಅನ್ನ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Then so the last topic that we have studied, that is about the population interaction. How the populations are going to interact with among themselves as well as with the other species and with the some abiotic factors that already we have studied in the last class. So here in detail about these all interaction we are studying in this class. Okay, so what are all the types of population interaction that we mentioned in the last class? So that is mutualism, competition, predation, parasitism, commensalism and amensalism. So these are the different types of the population interaction. So in this class we are going to study in detail about these all interactions. Okay, so here, so what is this mutualism? So where both the species are benefited. So in detail we are studying about this. Okay, with some examples how the both species are benefited. So with some examples we are studying in detail. And competition. So in competition both species are harmed. And predation. So predation, one is benefited, so that is the predator, and one is harmed, ಇನ್ನೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ harm ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? So that is called as prey. Then parasitism, where one is benefited and another one is harmed, that is the host. And commensalism, one is benefited and another one is unaffected. So Last one, amensalism. One is harmed and other is unaffected. So these all type of the interaction with examples we are studying in detail. Okay. So let us start with the predation. So what is this predation? So predation means the predator so that capture the prey for its food or nutrition purpose, right? So here herbivores and the carnivores are some examples for the predators. So in a broad ecological context, all the carnivores and the herbivores are predators. Why these carnivores and herbivores are called as predator? ಇವುಗಳನ್ನ predator ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಯಾಕೆ? Because so these herbivores they feed on the some plants and carnivores they feed on some organisms, organism like herbivores. Okay, for example, herbivores they depend on some plants and grass, so the prey is plant. And carnivores ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, carnivores for example lion, tiger, leopard, so these all are called as predators. So they depend on they capture the prey, right? So prey like deer, rabbit, so these all are called as preys. So these herbivores and carnivores both are called as predators. So about 25% insects are phytophagous. So phytophagous means which feed on the plant. So ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಈ ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ದೇ ಫೀಡ್ ಆನ್ plants. Okay, for example, grasshopper that depend on the grass. That is a type of insect um, that eat that required grass for its nutrition. So if a predator over exploits its prey, then the prey might become extinct. It results in the extinction of predator. So therefore predators in nature are prudent. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಟರ್ ಓವರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ತುಂಬಾ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ತುಂಬಾ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ, ದ ಪ್ರೇಸ್ ಮೇ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್. ಪ್ರೇಸ್ ಏನಾಗ್ಬಿಡತ್ತೆ, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಪ್ರೇಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಇಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಓವರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಟ್ ದ praise, so it results in the extinction of predator. So for example, ಈಗ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ lion, so I'll take the simple example, lion, so that is the predator and the prey is rabbit. Okay, prey is rabbit. So if the lion that over exploits the rabbit, so the rabbits may extinct. Rabbit ಏನಾಗ್ಬಿಡತ್ತೆ, extinct ಆಗ್ಬಿಡತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, so that is extinct from the environment, so which affect the predator also. So for example, lion, rabbit ಒಂದೇ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಟರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಈ ಪ್ರೇ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ದೆರ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಅ ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಟರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಓಕೆ, so this is one example for the predation. So here predators, the important point is predators they control the prey population. So in both case, in case of predation, the predators they control the prey population. So when certain exotic species are introduced into a geographical area, they spread fast due to the absence of its natural predators in the invaded land. For example, pricky pear cactus introduced into Australia in 1920s caused havoc by spreading. Later it was controlled by introducing the cactus feeding predator moth. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲಿಂಗ್ ದ ಪ್ರೇಸ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೇ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡತ್ತೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಇಫ್ ದ grasshopper, so for example, frogs that feeds on that feed the grasshopper, right? So ಈಗ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, grasshopper ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಇಫ್ ದ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ದ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ಹೋಪರ್, ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಡು ನಾಟ್ control these grasshoppers, they do not hunt this grasshopper, then this grasshopper population may increase in our environment. So it may cause the environmental imbalance. Grasshopper population ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಇಂಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ದ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಸರ್ಟೇನ್ ಎಕ್ಸೋಟಿಕ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್, ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಸೋಟಿಕ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಸಮ್ವೇರ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್, ಸೊ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ತಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತಹ, ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ತಂದಿರುವಂತ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಗ್ರೋ, ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ಲಿ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಗ್ರೋ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ geographical area, so they brought from somewhere else, so that is called as exotic species. So for example, exotic species na, so just imagine this is one particular geographical area, this is the another particular geographical area. So if some exotic species they transfer to the another geographical area, so ಈ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, they do not have the predators, so they may grow rapidly in that area, so that result in the rapid growth of these preys. Okay, so for example, ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇನ್ 1920s, ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಆಸ್ಟ್ರೇಲಿಯಾ ದ ಪ್ರಿಕ್ಲಿ ಪಿಯೋ ಕ್ಯಾಕ್ಟಸ್, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಕ್ಯಾಕ್ಟಸ್, so that was introduced in a particular area. Okay, so that caused that spread enormously in that area, because of the absence of the predators. So cactus feeding predators were absent in that area, so it spread very enormously in that area. So the cactus feeding predator moth was introduced to control the growth of this cactus. Okay, so this is the effect of the if the predators are not there in the environment, or preys are not there in the environment, so that may cause the environmental imbalance. Then importance of the predators. Then what is the importance of the predators? Predators are used in biological control method to prevent the some organism, so that is used. And predators maintain species diversity in a community by reducing the competition among prey species. So nodi, for example, frog that captured the grasshopper. Okay, so because of this frog there is a less competition in grasshopper, right? So it maintained the species diversity in a community by reducing the competition. So competition for sources, il grasshoppers number kadme aitu alva because of frog, and it reduces the competition among the prey. For example, so there is an example given for this. The predator starfish Pisister, so that is a type of starfish in the rocky intertidal communities of the American Pacific coast. So in an experiment, all these starfishes were removed from the enclosed intertidal area. So these all starfishes were removed from the particular area. It caused extinction of 10 invertebrate species within a year due to the interspecific competition. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ನೋಡಿ, so this pysaster that feeds on particular fishes. Okay, so some invertebrate that feeds on some invertebrate species. ಸೊ ಈ ಪೈಸಾಸ್ಟರ್ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಕಾಸ್ ದ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ದ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್. ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯ್ತು ಫಾರ್ ದ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್, ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಫಾರ್ ಫುಡ್, ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಫಾರ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್. ಸೊ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಸೊ ದರ್ due to this some 10 types of the invertebrates they extinct from that region. So this is the importance of the predators. Okay, so then defense of prey species to lessen impact of predation. So here we can see different types of the defense mechanism in prey species to prevent themselves from the predator in the body protection ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಸೊ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಪ್ರೇಸ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ, ದೇ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಸಮ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಇನ್ ದೇರ್ ಬಾಡಿ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕಮೋಫ್ಲೇಜ್. ಸೊ ಕಮೋಫ್ಲೇಜ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವೇನ್ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು, ಸೊ ವಿಚ್ ಮಿಮಿಕ್ ದ environmental color or environmental some conditions. For example, a frog which is present in a grassland, the body color of the frog, that is olive green color, so that protect the frog from the some predators ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಪ್ರಿಡೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ, ಸೊ ವಿಚ್ ಮಿಮಿಕ್ the grass color which is present around its environment. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ camouflage ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. So that we can see in insect and some frogs. So one more example is the monarch butterfly is highly distasteful to its predator bird. It is due to the special chemical in its body. It is acquired during its caterpillar stage by feeding on a poisonous weed. And some butterflies, they become poisonous due to feeding on a poisonous weed. So these all are the defense mechanisms that we can observe in praise. Then what about the plants? You know that herbivores, they feed on the plants alva. So here preys are plants and the predators are herbivores like deer and rabbit. So animals, they can run and or they can mimic the environment, or they develop some defense mechanism to fight against the predator. But what about the plants? Plants are not able to run or they are not able to escape from the animals. So they develop some morphological defense like acacia and cactus. Many plants produce the chemicals ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, so that make the herbivore sick, inhibit the feeding or digestion, disrupt its reproduction or kill it. ಸೊ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಇಫ್ ದ ಹರ್ಬಿವೋರ್ ಫೀಡ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಸಿಕ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಡೈಜೆಸ್ಟಿವ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಆರ್ ದ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಕಾಸ್ ದ ಡೆತ್. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಹರ್ಬಿವೋರ್ಸ್ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ತಿನ್ನೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ. So that is because they know some chemicals are present in that plant, so that is the reason. So illondu example kottidare, calotropis produce the poisonous cardiac glycosides, so cattle or goats do not eat it. So calotropis ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಕ್ಯಾಲೋಟ್ರೋಪಿಸ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್, ಎಕ್ಕೆ ಗಿಡ ಅಂತ ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ದ animals like goats or cows, they feeds on this, so they may get the cardiac arrest because some cardiac glycosides are present in it. So the herbivores, they do not feed on this plant. So that is the defense mechanism developed in this plant. Some nicotine, caffeine, quinine, strychnine, opium, so these all are the chemicals, so that is developed in plant body for the defense mechanism for some insects or other predators. Okay, so we can see the thorns in plant, so that is the morphological development for morphologically, so which defends the defense mechanism, so that impact the predation. So ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಡಿಫೆನ್ಸ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಬಹುದು. So this is about the predation, so the defense mechanism in plants and animals, and what is the importance of the predation, so that we have studied in this part. The next type of the interaction, that is the competition. So competition means what? So competition means, so closely related species or sometimes some different species, they compete for the same resources. It may be mainly for the food. Okay, So it is the process in which fitness of one species is significantly lower in the presence of another species. So interspecific competition is potent force in organic evolution. Competition occurs when closely related species compete for the same limited resources. It may be for food or it may be for the reproduction purpose. So ಈ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಸಾರಿ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್. ಸೊ ವಿಚ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಿಟ್ಟೆಸ್ಟ್? ದ ಫಿಟ್ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ವಿಲ್ survive in the nature. Survival of the fittest, so that is called as the fitness of one species, that is R value. R value ನಾವು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Then unrelated species can also compete for the resources. So unrelated species, so some they are not closely related species also compete for the resources. For example, flamingos and fishes in some shallow South American lakes compete for the zooplankton. So illi zooplankton, that is the type of organism, that is a small organism. So here flamingos and fishes, they belongs to the different species only, so they are not related species. They compete for the same resources. Competition occurs in abundant resource also. So when they have abundant resources, then also there will be a competition. So for example, interference of competition, the feeding efficiency of one species is reduced due to the presence of the other species, even if resources are abundant. So there is a competition even though the presence of the abundant resources. So some evidences, some examples for the competition. So what are all the examples for competition? Abingdon tortoise in Galapagos Island. These are the type of the tortoise in the Galapagos Island became extinct within a decade after goats were introduced on island due to the greater browsing efficiency of the goats. So these are the type of tortoise present in a Galapagos Island. These were extinct after 10 years of the introduction of these goats, because the goats, they feed they browse, their browsing efficiency is high compared to the tortoise. Tortoise are slow. So these um, tortoise were extinct from that region. So that is called as the that is the evidence for the competition. So, second one, competitive release. So, it is the expansion of the distributional range of species when the competition species were removed. So, when the competition species were removed, so the expansion of the distributional range. So, there is a Connell's field experiment. So, there is an example for competition on the Rocky Sea coasts of Scotland. There are two types of the barnacles. So barnacles, you can see that is the Balanus, larger and competitively superior. So this is the Balanus, which is competitively superior, and uh, Thamellus, which is the uh, smaller one. Okay, so Balanus dominates the intertidal area and excludes this thalamus. Okay, so when Connells experimentally removed Balanus, so the another type of the organisms, they colonized in the intertidal zone. The next one, Gauss competitive exclusion principle. So what it says, it states that two closely related species competing for the same resources cannot coexist indefinitely, and the competitively inferior one will be eliminated eventually. This may true in limited source resources but not otherwise. So one will eliminate the another, so that is possible only in case the resources are um, less limited resources. Then species facing competition may evolve mechanism of coexistence rather than the exclusion. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗಾಸ್ exclusion principle ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತು, the superior one, so that will eliminate the inferior one when the resources are limited. So when the resources are limited, only it is possible. Okay, but if the species facing competition may evolve mechanism for coexistence. So if the species are competing for the same resources, then also they coexist by resource partitioning. So they distribute the resources. For example, here one example is given. A smaller yellow bird species forages across the whole tree. So they are um, foraging the whole tree. A larger red species competes for the same resources. So these red color species, they are competing for the same resources. So red dominates in the middle for the abundant resources. So this red that dominates over this yellow. So according to the Gauss principle, this yellow species, they eliminate from this area, but yellow adapts to the new niche, avoiding the competition. So yellow birds then started feeding on the other resources present in that area. So that is called as resource partitioning. Here, resource partitioning, it is in the division of limited resources by species to avoid the competition. So for this, they choose different feeding times or different foraging patterns. So they show the coexistence of both the species. So that is called as the competition. So for example, MacArthur showed that five closely related species living on a species of warblers living on a tree could avoid the competition and coexist due to the behavioral difference in their foraging activities. So uh, they are competing for the same resources, and the resource is also limited, but they change their foraging activity. So because of that, they survived. All the five species of the warbler were survived. So this is called as resource partition. Okay, so this is about the competition. Okay, so the two types of the interactions we have studied. The next type of the interaction, that is about the parasitism. Parasitism means what? You know about the parasites. Parasites means parasites which feed on the host, which depend on the host for their nutrition. So parasites means which depend on the host. Okay, so these are called as parasites. So many parasites are host specific. Specific means so particular parasites living on a particular species of host only. Okay, they tend to co-evolve. That is, if the host evolves special mechanism against the parasite also evolves mechanism to counteract them to remain with the same host. So ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, they co-evolve. If the host is developing some characteristics to remove the parasite, then the parasites also developing some characteristics to survive in that condition. Okay, the changes that occurred in the as host condition. So that is the uh, example for co-evolution. Both are developing some characteristics to avoid the parasites and to avoid the to live in the host here. So these are the example for the parasites. Parasitic wasp larvae emerged from the caterpillar. So here the caterpillar is the host and these are the larvae are the parasites. So cuscuta. So this is the cuscuta which absorb the only plant which do not perform the photosynthesis, which absorb the nutrient from the host plant, that is the parasitic plant. And head gloves. So this is also type of parasite. Then adaptation of parasites. So here leech, ascaris, and these all are example for the parasites. So loss of sense organs, presence of adhesive organs or suckers to cling on the host. So they have some suckers to absorb the nutrient to adhere. They have some structures. They develop some structure to adhere the host, to attach firmly to the host. And loss of digestive system, because they some digestive organs or digestive system is lack, because they absorb the nutrients directly. They will not synthesize. There is no need to break down of the nutrients, just they absorb the nutrients. And high reproductive capacity, because they get enough nutrients from the host, so they have the high reproductive capacity. Then there are two types of the parasites. The first type, that is the ectoparasite, and second type is the endoparasites. You know that ecto means outside and endo means inside. If the parasites are present outside the outer surface of the host, then it is called as the ectoparasites. Human lice, which is present in the hair, right? So that is called as human lice. Then ticks on dog, so they are ectoparasites. And cuscuta, that is also ectoparasites. Then endoparasites means they are present inside our body. For example, roundworms, tapeworms, human liver fluke, they are present inside our body and they absorb the nutrients. They are called as endoparasites. Then so ectoparasites, you know the example. So for example, they feed on external surface of the host. They feed on the external surface of the host, like lice on humans, ticks on dog. Ectoparasites copods in many marine fishes. And cuscuta plant on heads plant, it has no chlorophyll and leaves. It derives the nutrition from the host plant. ಇಲ್ಲಿ cuscuta ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Cuscuta that absorb the nutrient, that does not contain leaf and chlorophyll, which absorb the nutrients from the host plant. You can see how it is arranged around the host plant. So female mosquito, that is not the parasite, which need the uh, human blood for the reproduction purpose only. Okay. So these endoparasites, they may live in the different parts of the human body, like liver, kidney, lungs, and red blood cells. The life cycles of endoparasites are more complex. They have simple morphological anatomical features and high reproductive potential. So they may be present, the endoparasites, they may be present inside the liver, kidney, and red blood cell also, and they show high reproductive potential. So that is about the endoparasites. Then commensalism. So what is this commensalism? So here one will get benefits and other will neither get benefit nor it is harmed, right? So for example, examples for the commensalism. So one is benefited and another one is neither harmed nor benefited. Orchid, so these are the orchid plants growing as epiphyte on mango branch. So these are growing on the mango branches, so they need this mango plant for the development, but these mango branches they neither harm nor benefited. Okay, so that is the example. And barnacles growing on a back of whale. So here you can see the barnacles. So these are the small organisms, they are growing on the back of the whale. So this whale that is not harmed in this case. Okay, whale neither harm nor benefited, but these barnacles they are benefited. Okay, and egret and the cattle, so this common example we can see in our day to day life, that is also commensalism. So here egret and the cattle, so grazing cattle, the egrets forage close where the cattle are grazing. So here you can see the egrets were near where the cattle are grazing. So here when these cattle are grazing at that time, the some insects present in this grass they come out, that is easy to catch these insects. So during the uh, cattle grazing, okay, so they, because of that they are very close to these cattle, but these cattle they are neither harmed nor benefited. So here the egrets they are getting the they easily find out the these insects by the action of this cattle. So here egrets are benefited, but the cattle it is neither benefited nor harmed. Okay, then sea anemone and clownfish. So stinging tentacles of sea anemone gives protection to the fish from the predators. So the fish that is present in the near the sea anemone, so which gives, so tentacles you can see. So these tentacles giving the some protection to this fish from the enemies, but this sea animal that is neither harm nor benefited. So this type of the interaction that is called as the commensalism. Then the last one is the mutualism. Mutual means both are benefited, right? So in this type of the relationship, what we can see, if both the organisms are associated in that interaction were benefited. So for example, lichens. Lichens are the very good example for the mutualism. So lichens means what? That is the lichens are the association of the algae and fungi, right? Algae plus fungi, that is the that is called as the lichen. Then so here how the mutual relationship is present in between the algae and the fungi. So algae that is the photosynthetic that prepares the food, and the fungi that is the heterotrophic. So algae which prepare the food for the fungi, and fungi that helps for the algae to absorb the nutrients and which provide the nutrients to the algae to prepare the food. So and also we can see the algae or cyanobacteria. So in this case, so that is called as the lichens. Then mycorrhizae. What is this mycorrhizae? Association between fungi and the roots of the higher plants. Here you can see the some fungi that is present with the roots of the higher plants. Then what is the benefit of how both the species are benefited? Here, the fungi that helps for the absorption of the essential nutrients like phosphorus and all, and the plant provides the fungi with the carbohydrate. The you know that these fungi, that is the heterotrophic bacteria, right? So fungi is the, sorry, not bacteria, that is the, yeah, heterotrophic organism. So this fungi is not able to produce its own food, but the plants provide the important carbohydrates for this organism. Okay. Then some more example for the mutualism. Mutualism between plant and the animal through the pollination and seed dispersal. So here, some plants, they are pollinated by the insects, right? So just imagine this is the flower. Okay, so this flower that is pollinated by the insects, right? So that is pollinated by the insect. So pollination means the insects, they get nectars from the flowers, and as a result, during this process, the pollen grains that tap on, which is attached to the body of this insect, when it insect moves to the another plant, the pollen grains that released, that is uh, released to the stigma of the plant, and the pollination takes place. So as a result, so these insects, they get the nectar. Okay. Then there is a one more example. So fig tree and wasp. So what is, what type of the relationship we can see in this mutualism? So fig species is pollinated only by its partner wasp species and no other species. So this is the pig flower that is pollinated by only wasp. So the female wasp pollinates the fig inflorescence, searching for suitable egg-laying sites in fruits. Okay, so which lay the egg, which search for the suitable place for the laying egg. So while searching, the fig offers the wasp some developing seeds as food for the wasp larvae. So it is pollinated by inflorescence while searching for the suitable egg-laying sites for the uh, sites in the fruits. So while searching, the flower is pollinated, and so the pollination takes place by the wasp. And the wasp, how it get the benefits from the pig fruits? So it lays the egg inside the uh, fig, and so the seeds, the wasp developing, the fig offers the wasp some developing seeds as a food for the wasp larvae. So like this, the mutual relationship takes place, is present in between these two plants. Then uh, orchids. So orchids show diversity of floral patterns. So they attract the right pollinator and bees and bumblebees to ensure the pollination. Not all orchids offer the rewards. So mainly orchid and bees, they are closely associated organisms, and they show the mutualism. Okay. Then one more example. So these all examples, they show the mutualism between plant and the animals. So here first what we have seen, so here in between the algae and fungi, and algae and some higher plants. So these all are example for the association between the mutual relationship between plant and animals. So fig flowers, so that is pollinated by the wasp, and which lays the egg inside this, the flower which provide the safe place for the laying the egg, and also the developing larvae that consume the seeds, the developing seeds of that uh, fruit. Okay, so like that mutual relationship we can observe. Then, so in between the orchids and the bees, so there is a mutual relationship, that is a plant and animal. Then the sexual deceit of Orpheus. So Mediterranean orchid. So what is this sexual deceit? We can observe one petal of its flower resembles the female bees in size, color, and markings. So male bees pseudo-copulates with the flower and dusted with the pollen. So see here. So that is called as sexual deceit. Sexual deceit means fake sexual reproduction, so that takes place in Mediterranean orchid. So what type of the relationship it is? So see this one petal of this flower. So see this one petal, it looks like female bees. Okay, it looks like female bees. So when the male bees, so they observe this one petal and they think it is female one, and the pseudo copulation takes place. So during this copulation, the bees, they are dusted with the pollen grains. So when they move to the next flowers, so another flowers, so the pollen grain transfer to the stigma. So like this, it is called as sexual deceit. Okay, so like this the pollination takes place in the flowers with the help of these bees. But here the pseudo copulation takes place. Pseudo copulation means that is not, pseudo means that is not true, right? So the pseudo copulation takes place in between these two. So this is the type of interaction that we can see in the Mediterranean orchid. Okay, so this is also example for the mutual relationship between plant and animal through pollination and the seed dispersion. Okay, so these all are the very important examples. So please remember examples for your exams also, board as well as the CET exams. Okay, competitive exams. So here we complete the chapter, that is organisms and the population. So that is the first chapter from the ecology. Okay, so in the next class we are going to start the next chapter from the ecology. Okay, so what are all the things we have studied in this chapter? Just recall. So the main important topic, that is about the population population attributes, population attributes, so that we studied in this chapter. So what are all the population attributes? So that is very important. Then growth models, that we studied in this chapter. Exponential growth and the logistic growth, two growth models. So exponential and the logistic growth models that we have studied in this class. Then the population interaction, population interaction. So in this we studied predation, So important of predation and some examples for the predation and the defense mechanism in plants and animals. So these all are very important with examples. Okay. Then the second thing is competition. Very important. Competition. Then commensalism. Commensalism and parasitism. Examples for these all parasites, types of parasites, and the mutualism. So these are the different types we studied with some examples. Okay, so these all are very important and the examples are very important for your exam. Okay, so dear students, I will end the class here. So until that, take care. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you.